Hey guys, it's Bushboy here, and as your request said, I should do some tutorials about my Photoshop time lapses. This video I firstly wanted to make just to get the ball rolling, because I want to talk to you about what it takes for you to produce such artworks or whatever. Before you get started, you need to have the passion, the drive, the desire to do it, because art isn't something that is easy. The skill I have is something I've been working on for many years. Photoshop in particular has taken me a year or so far to understand to use. The biggest trick with Photoshop is learning all the shortcuts, and the next trick is being able to think and design different things, and have a skill and a style. Becoming good will require you to strive for perfection and have detail on what you want. Some of the simplest things are a lot of hard work, and if you don't have the heart for it, you'll never get there. Secondly, you need to be creative and find out what gets your creative side flowing. Some people can make stuff up from nothing, others innovate ideas from other works, and some of us, like myself, need inspiration to think stuff up. For me in particular, I use music to inspire me. An important stepping stone in making art is becoming true to yourself. Now, this isn't some spiritual lecture I'm gonna make or anything like that. You just need to lose the negativity. A lot of artists, a lot of people who do stuff like this are very negative about their work, and you'd be surprised how good you are at your work. And that being said, you need to learn to share your art, either to a close friend, a small community, or the public. It took me a really long time to learn this step, and I regret not sharing it for such a long time. I never really knew how good I was, and I was surprised by all the positive feedback. Now, while you should cut that negativity, you need to take criticism and be constructive with it so you can get better. Lastly, being experimental with your work is really important. As you may have noticed already, in my time lapses, I start with an idea and I work with it until I feel confident with the finished work. I like starting with a message or an idea and experimenting how I should convey it through my art. Often I will have a basic idea on what I want to do, but some works change significantly over time. And from being experimental, over time you'll find your style. This is something that identifies you but also makes you unique. Personally, my style is somewhere between pop art and conceptual art. All of my arts express some kind of expression or idea, and I want the audience to know what that is and connect with it. I often use vector shapes because the detail isn't necessary to me. I don't want to confuse the audience away from the ideas and emotions that I'm trying to convey. In case you are wondering, I was always inspired by Barbara Kruger and Andy Warhol because of the effect their art had on the audience. The art often questioned the audience to make them think about things, but usually on like social things or things that we are as humans. A good example would be Barbara Kruger's I Shop Therefore I Am, which is a question to the audience about consumerism and why we, buy things. A lot of things that we buy aren't really valuable at all. So I just want to conclude this video off and let you know that the next video will actually be a proper tutorial, but I wanted to open this up because a lot of people go into art and don't put it all in, don't have the passion for it, and it's very hard. It takes a long time to get good at something. Even though some of the skills aren't necessarily difficult to learn, Photoshop in particular is actually relatively easy, but it takes a long time per artwork, so you really need to be sure that you want to do it. A lot of my artworks that I do for the Photoshop time lapses take about an hour to make, or more than an hour, because the preparation I have to do for looking for shapes for the vectors, but also ideas and how I want to go about it. So, some of the artworks take quite a long time to even think about. I think some of them took 4 or 5 hours over a course of a week just to think of what I was going to do, because I want to convey a certain way and express a certain feeling and belief, and I want to do it right. And sometimes for me it's hard to think of those ideas. Just to conclude everything off and wrap it all up, what I want to say here is not only do you want to put your all in, it won't be difficult if you're enjoying it. Because the main part about art is you're enjoying it. It's like a hobby. And secondly, you need to find what inspires you to create art, whether it's other artists, something in the industry, or something that you enjoy, or music, or anything. It could be anything. It could be going outside into the environment, into nature itself, or whatever it is that inspires you. You will find it, and that's what you have to find. Because if you don't, you'll have a lot of trouble creating genuine artworks. Thirdly, you need to be true to yourself, lose negativity, and learn to be constructive with criticism and share your art and stuff. And always be willing to learn and change. Change is a hard one because a lot of people don't want to change, or they don't think they need to change. And lastly, to be experimental in general. You know, you got to find what identifies you. Over the years, I've tried different things. I liked abstract art and stuff, and I like things that aren't necessarily focusing on realism, because it sort of takes away the emotion and the ideas that an artist has to bring to the table, because realism is purely skill. And once I found my place, I was truly happy with my art and stuff. And pop art is like the old comic books, that kind of style. And conceptual art is it conveying some kind of message. Pop art is also like cultural related art. So it's often really vibrant art, but also has a meaning to it and wants to make the audience ask themselves something or be impactful in some way. And the last thing I just wanted to say is we were all born to do something, whatever that might be. You have to figure that out on your own. If you think art is that thing, that thing that you like a lot and you want to become really good at it, you have to show the world that, because people aren't going to see it if you don't improve yourself, do all the things you need to do to get there. Anyway, thanks for watching. Next week, I'm going to get started on the basics, such as selecting shapes, changing shapes, and basically just making basic vectors, which is the basic stuff that I do. Anyway, I'll see you in the next video. Subscribe if you haven't already, and thanks for watching.